our prayer. It's a very, very happy Mother's Day to everybody here today, men and women, because within us all is the mother's heart. Within us all is the mother's energy, that feminine divine principle that fills each and every one of us, just as the masculine one does too when we celebrate Father's Day. It's that Reverend Mama.
Some of us have heard Dr. Moira say that when she was a little girl, she really wanted to be a priest and not a nun. And I was reminded of that this week when I ran across an old Spanish saying that reads, "An ounce of mother is worth a ton of priest." So what I am thinking today is that for those of us for whom Dr. Moira has cared and nurtured, we have gotten ourselves a ton of mother priest. Happy Mother's Day, Dr. Moira.
They got me there, Mrs. McKinney. New wine, oh, I love it. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, I so appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. These beautiful flowers are called new wine. New wine. Could suck them up. And we're always open to new wine. But the wine of spirit, remember? They're very beautiful, and they emanate beautifully all your beautiful energy. So I thank you for that. Flowers are the language of love, really, aren't they? And you know, coming into this understanding of what it is to be mother, it's so much more than actually physically giving birth to a child. And of course, it takes male and female to be able to do that, to give birth to a child. But it's so much more than that. So today we're not just celebrating mothers who have given birth to children. God bless you all. It's amazing. I have the deepest of esteem for you all, you mothers especially. I've always had a soft spot for mothers, really I have. And maybe it's something to do with the birthing processes and all that pain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, I have the greatest respect for dads too, but let's face it, dads, the moms get to do the real elephantine part of all of that. But it's a miracle of grace every time a little baby comes into the world. And if anybody watches the midwives on the television, that program, I tell you, I'm looking at it like this most of the time. I feel every pain. But anyway, we are celebrating this universal concept of the mother, the matrix. The matrix is the point. It is the space. It is the place wherein something new originates, and it is nurtured, and it becomes form, and it develops into something awesome. That's what a matrix is. That's what the mother concept is. That's what the universal concept is. And all along, throughout all of history, since we came down out of the bushes and created altars, we always revered the mother, the divine mother, the divine mother. And when you go to all of these great shrines, like in Lourdes, it's to the mother's shrine we're going. If you go to it in Fatima, it's to the mother's shrine we're going. If you go to Medjugorje, it's to the mother's shrine we're going. If you go to Knock in Ireland, it's to the mother's shrine we are going. Because they're going for what? Healing of some kind or another. And it is through the creative process that healing occurs. Through the creative process. That's what the mother is. The mother is mother law. The mother is mother soul. The mother is the mother creative medium out of which all flows. It is the mother that gives birth, the sun, the moon, the stars, the cosmos, all of creation. All that is, it is that feminine aspect of infinite intelligence, of the divine, that does all of that in unison with the spirit, in unison with the male aspect. But remember, divinity, intelligence is more than male and female. Those two aspects are part of it all, but it's more than that. Now, you and I are male and female in aspect, but we're more than that too. But we are the creative process in action. That's what we are. That's what we're celebrating every time we celebrate the mother. We're celebrating the creative process of life. And so what we're looking to today as we celebrate our own mothers, and God bless us all, I mean, I adored my mother and I miss her to this very day, and she still slaps me up the side of the head every now and again. They don't go anywhere, I can assure you. And she was the most amazing presence in my life, and we were not ones that we sat down and told each other every little tittle-tattle that was going on. I admire people that do that. We were never like that in Ireland. You didn't talk about your feelings when I was growing up in Ireland 200 years ago. Feeling? What was that, for God's sakes? You know, you suffered in silence, you offered it up. It was everything that everybody else went through, and that's the way it was. But I had this kinesthetic effect with my mother, and she with me, we just to look at each other, we knew exactly what was going on. We didn't have to say a word. So I would just have to pick up the phone. I mean, I left home when I was young because I entered the convent. So, I mean, I left, you know, at a very young age, and then I found myself in England in a convent, and then after all of that, I found myself in the United States of America. So I wasn't at home in physicality for very long. So my mother we would call and talk on the phone all the time, and every single day, or every single week, I would get 2 letters in the mail, no matter where I was, 2 letters in the mail. And so, and when things were very challenging for me, I would just pick up the phone and talk to my mother, and as soon as I heard her voice, everything was fine. So all I had to do was hear her voice. That's all. Somehow or another, she had this mesmerizing effect that whatever it is, and I wouldn't be talking about anything, she knew I could overcome. She always knew that. And when people were very concerned about me in the United States of America, I can tell you, when I was getting into all of these weird things like ashrams and religious science and God knows what not, and what the hey was all of that, and somebody from America went home and tittle-tattled, you know, on me, and friend of mine, and then when it was all said and done, she looked at her and she said, well, you know, if Moira is doing it, it must be okay. And that was the end of the conversation. So that's the kind of relationship I had with my mom. She trusted me. You know, she trusted me. She knew who I was, and she knew that I wouldn't be going off the rails in any way. God knows. Little did she know, though, but, you know. But I didn't really step off those rails too badly, I have to say, and that's only by the grace of God and the protective environments I was always in. And I was always in very protective environments, that's for sure. When everybody else was up to naughtiness, there's no naughtiness around. There wasn't any for me to get into. So there's no thanks to me for that. It just wasn't there. It wasn't a temptation, if you know what I mean. But anyway, that mothering thing was very, very important in our household. And my mother was not only a mother to me, but she was a mother to all the neighborhood. Everybody came to Mrs. Fox, because we all called each other Mrs. in those days. Every child, Mr., Missed, everybody. Miss, Mrs., and Mr. And so they would all come to her, and she would take him. Mothers would have tons of babies, and she'd be off with the breakfast tray for the mothers. And if a man came home alcoholic, you know, and next thing the kids would be knocking, Mrs. Fox, come quickly, my dad is drunk and he's rowing with my mom. My mother would just have to walk in the door. I know, Mrs. Fox, I know. These big, tall, strapping men would just stand there. She'd say, now, Luke Fitzpatrick, I just want to remind you. She wouldn't say much, if anything, at all. And she wasn't condemning or judging, she just wouldn't. Her presence was enough. I never knew how amazing my mother was for a long time. But anyway, I speak about that essence and that energy, but she was a woman of prayer, deep prayer. She was always in prayer. The woman had more prayer books and rosary beads than I don't know what. She had an altar in the bedroom, and every saint that there was on that altar. And my brother and I loved it because there used to be money under all those statues, and we used to steal it and go to the pictures. Say, thank you, God, thank you, God. She must have known, because she never said anything. There was always money under the statues, because you had to pay the saints, you know that. Especially St. Anthony, if you wanted to find anything. You know, you have to promise him money for St. Anthony's bread now. So this universal concept of mother, and I've known some fathers who have had the very same energies, very, very motherly in their way of dealing. And my dad was a very kind man too, but I have to say, in the household, everybody knew who the power and the energy was, without ever being not valuing greatly. My dad, too, had a great sense of humor, and very kind and very generous, and would take the shirt off his back and give it away, even if it was appropriate or not. And so you had a strange mix there, and it worked out very well. But for you and for me now, what we're going to do is to dig deep within ourselves and to pull up that universal, unconditioned and unconditional energy that provides always a home for anybody who crosses its threshold, that provides safety, supplies support, supplies nurturing and nourishing, supplies a place of acceptance and a place of honoring and a place of equality. That's the mother energy, and that's what it does. And it's rampant within each and every one of us. Rampant. And it's available to us. And can you imagine the times when we feel so drained, when we feel so not enough, when we feel so empty, and all that fullness, that motherhoodness is there to be called upon, that can nurture and nourish and fill and take care of and support and sustain and maintain, and can assure us that whatever it is, we are overcoming it, whatever that is, and not to be concerned, not to be concerned. But that healing power, and it is a healing power, remember, within your own heart, because you reside in the great womb of the mother. You always have and you always will. Just as the drop falls into the river and becomes the river, just as the river flows into the ocean and becomes the ocean, in the womb of grace, you and I are one with the womb of grace. And there's no end to this womb. It's vast, it's huge. And you and I can pull from that, draw from that, heal from its wells of healing. When we recognize, when we accept, and when we move into gratitude, that's all we have to do. Recognize the holy well of healing is within me. It's refreshing and renewing waters are within me. 3% of my body is water. Over more than half of the world is water. Water contains phenomenal energy, has phenomenal power. It can break through concrete. It has amazing capacity in all of its forms. But you have to remember, too, that the call upon the mother is for you and for me always to keep this energy center here at the solar plexus thawed out. Because from the first time we ever experienced a no, icicles formed. And every time we've had a negative experience, that block of ice was built upon. And some of us still carry it here. And our job is to allow the mother to melt it so it can become the moving, flowing waters of renewing life, and not this great, heavy, hulking lump here that stops us and blocks us from our good. And that icicle tendency has a great tendency to keep endeavoring to form, so you and I have to keep it melted. Our job is to keep that warm and melted. And the way we do that is to love the way we can love, which is to love as the great mother loves, with this complete surrender to always being available, open and receptive and welcoming of the child, the great archetypes. One of them is the mother, and the other is the child, and you and I have both archetypes to handle and contend with. But we want to make sure that it is the archetypal mother that is taking care of and is in charge of the archetypal child. Because when the child feels safe and secure, all is well. It's when the child doesn't. Havoc reigns, chaos reigns. And so, my dear ones, it is within you and it is in with me, especially at this time in the life that we're living in, the world that we're living in, all of us to move deeper into the matrix of the universal cosmic mother. And to be on our game when it comes to mothering. Now, within the archetype, there are several different paradigms, of course. There is a paradigm that is called the roamer. The roamer. That mother tendency to be rummaging and rooting and roaming in every aspect of the child's life. The hawk mother that is always there watching, and making sure that the child is safe and making sure that the child is successful and making sure that the child is going to grow up as the mother thinks the child should grow up, free of any kind of stress or strain or tension. It's called, at its negative understanding and realization, smother love. Now, on the opposite side of the wholeness that can come through the roaming mother, the hawk-eyed mother, who is very much got her finger on the pulse of things, on the other side of it, it can lead to a child being very insecure, the child being one that's lacking a feeling of security and independence, and a child that cannot hold its own when it's without the mother, without feeling less than or whatever, and so on. Look it up. Just tap in the mother matrix. Just tap in the mother/Holy Spirit even. And up will come all this information for you. Do research it. It's fascinating. That's one of them. And you know, there's 4 major ones that they go into, and there are other aspects of the mother too, you know. And then, you know, there's the mother that wants to be the friend. That's another paradigm. I want to be the friend to my child. I want my child to be my friend, and I want to be my child's friend. And that works for a little bit. But as soon as the child becomes a tween or a teen, then mothers are especially brokenhearted. Oh my gosh, I used to be so close to her or him. We used to be great friends, and she'd tell me everything, and now I can hardly get a word, not even hardly a word. How are you? I'm okay. And then they disappear and they go to the room and they're always out and they never want to do anything anymore. And we used to have great times when we go on camping and when we, you know, in the summertime, it's like, no, they don't, they want to be with their friends and so on. So mother is heartbroken and kid is fed up, irritated. And we don't understand that that's the child getting ready to leave the nest. That's the child learning to be independent so it can cope with the outside world where it doesn't have a mom to take care of all its needs, you see. On the other side of that, the child can grow into something, you know, amazingly wondrous and very gregarious and comfortable and so on in situations in the house and outside of the house. And, you know, you have one mother, you have a ton of friends, but you only have one mother, and you only need, God knows we only need one mother. And that one mother is a very seminal and very important part of our lives, just as a father would be the same situation, not a friend, but a father. I need you to be my dad, not my friend. I need you to be my mother, not my friend, you see. You know how friends are. They're sometimes, you know, on the ball, and sometimes they're not. They sometimes are very hard, and you sometimes let you get away with blue murder. Well, mothers and fathers need to be consistent in how we interact with our children. Anyway, I'm not going to go further into those details. Look up that. Just tap it in on your phone. It's not that hard, and up will come all of this, the mother/Holy Spirit, and you'll get, oh my gosh, you'll be amazed at what will come up. And so what is being the deepest calling upon deep today for you and for me to understand that motherhood is a concept, it's a way of life, it's an energy, it's a power, it's a force, and every single one of us has availability to it, and every one of us is called to be it, And you get that. You'll get that in places where it's very pronounced, in places where you have groups of men, say in the service, or groups of men in monasteries and so on. Some of them are very tender, and some of them are very motherly when the need arises for that to happen. And this is a good thing. It's a great thing that men can cry, for God's sakes, nowadays. When I was a kid growing up, little boys who cried were told, now be a strong soldier. That was the language. Be a strong soldier. Remember, soldiers don't cry. Baloney, they do. And so it's very, very wondrous when we can allow ourselves that essential essence that we are, that female energy that is touched and moved to tears, touched and moved to compassion, touched and moved to kindness, touched and moved to mercy and forgiveness. You see, in the universal mother, there's no need for forgiveness at all. It doesn't even enter in. It's an automatic given. That no matter whether you're a white sheep or a black sheep or a blue sheep or a purple sheep or a sheep with 2 heads or 2 tails or whatever, you come home to mama and you're received. You're welcome. There's a place for you. You're safe. You're secure. You know you'll be taken in. You know you'll be welcomed. You know you'll be nourished. You know you'll be nurtured. That's the energy of the mother. The mother is always consistent, and her love is permanent. It is not seasonal. It doesn't come and it doesn't go. It doesn't depend on behaviors or conditions or circumstances. It is always the same, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You will always find love where the mother is, the universal mother is. And it never claims ownership. It never endeavors to control. It never is jealous. It's never jealous. The mother can love many, 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 many all at one time. And the mother can allow those whom she loves to love many at any given time. And that's the kind of energy the world needs just now. We need more mothering in our world just now. We need to be more motherly in ourselves just now. We need to see it in each other. We need that beautiful energy of nothing less than unconditional love. That's all that we need. Love and do what you will, the great saint says. Love and do what you will. And I understand that, because if you love unconditionally, then you're going to do all that you can to assist, to support, to supply, to encourage, to affirm, to reach out, to hug in a compassionate, kind way that which seems to be unhuggable, unlovable, and all the rest of it. But that's what a mother's heart is. It's capable of all of that, and it's within each and every one of us, because we live within it. And it is part of the composition that you and I are. So the question is, how motherly can we be? How loving are we going to be? How are we going to respond to the mother's invitation to say, you are my heart, you are my hands, you are my head, you are my feeling, you are my thinking, you are my speaking, you are my hearing, you are my listening, you are my thoughts, you are the beat and the pulse of all that I am. I need you to be that in expression in a world that's dying from the want of to love and be loved. That's all that is wrong with the world. It needs to love and be loved. Well, how is that going to happen if it's not going to come through you? If it's not going to come through me? It's just the true essence of who you are and what you are. And that's why we get so frustrated when we don't behave ourselves like we are love and expression. Because there's something in us that says, no. That's not where you want to be. This is not what you want to be expressing, because this is not anything to do with you. Wake up now. Stop that. You're being so much less than you are in truth. Put your truth on. Let the mother out and be the soothing, healing balm that the world needs, the raising element, the yeast that rises, the yeast of love, for heaven's sakes, because we can. We're so awesome. We're so wondrously and fiercely made, we're told. And the fierceness is the fierceness of love. Love. It can move through anything. It can take down the greatest of mountains. It can build up the greatest of reservoirs of the waters of life. And how is it happening? Well, believe it or not, the chosen way was through you and me. Can you believe that? Sometimes you wonder about God, don't you? But my only wondering about God now is how awesome God is. And to think that everything we need to take care of business is already present within us. We have it all. We're just either ignoring it, we don't want to go there, it's too much like trouble. Tomorrow, like St. Augustine, oh, please, God, make me a good man, but not today. Wait until tomorrow. Wait until tomorrow, because I'm living such a luscious, crazy, destructive life, and I'm enjoying it. You see. So what is it going to be then? Hate or love? And remember, any little discontent is part of the hate zone. Any tiny little good deed is part of the love zone. So what is it that we're contributing most of the time? The love zone or the hate zone? It's one or the other. We're either in one space or we're in another. But let us be the matrix. Let us be the point and the space in which something new originates, and we nurture it and we nourish it and we give it form and we support it and we deliver it out there as the gift of life to all of life. Because that's what you are. You're the gift of life to all life. And you're never going to be more of it than you are now. So let's get up, get out, and be the loving mothers that we all are, and so it is.